My general view on execution is people overthink it. I guarantee you, everybody listening to this is going to leave this afternoon and say, boom, I'm going to do it. 3 days from now, probably 10% of people are going to do it. You know what the difference is? Discipline.
Pretty streets, hustle hard, never playing. Great Cardone, no.
Okay, hey Robert, great to have you here today, man. It's I've always wanted to do something with you. Love your career, love what you've done. Just an amazing rags to riches story that inspires so many people. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Grant.
Yeah, and we can talk about real estate and houses and all that stuff. California living,
which I love. I love.
Yeah,
real estate, man.
I know you're living the life, man. So many people envious of the kind of life, and really my audience wants to emulate, not just be envy of what you've done, and because it's an inspirational story. Let me ask this. How important is money mindset, Robert, to your journey and what you would think to the entrepreneur or somebody that's coming up from the mud, they're trying to make it? How important is it getting the money mindset right?
Well, I think to your point, it's not about envy. I came from a country, Grant, in a communist country where if you saw somebody else who was successful, your assumption was they screwed somebody over to get where they are. And I've never been that guy. Like if I see you driving down the street in a Ferrari and I've got a beat up old Toyota, power to you, man. Like if I can get there, show me the way. It's not so much for me about the mindset of money. The mindset of money for me is about the mindset of possibility. Because the difference between when I was poor and when I was a little richer is not the amount of cash I had in my account. It's the ability to learn how to get there. Knowledge is the key that separates people from having and not having. It's not who you know. It's not what you know. It's not the fancy degree. It's not who your parents were. It's the ability to learn. That's the power of money.
Now, because you're an immigrant, my family my grandparents were from Italy. So they came here and
You're Italian?
Yeah, I'm Italiano and Sicilian. Yeah. And so they came here. Everything was a grind. Everything was hard work. There was no idea of scaling or freedom. It was all, save your money, put your pennies together. Were you encumbered by that kind of thinking, that liability, that poverty kind of concept?
Yeah. So 2 points to that. The first one is a good one. And the first one is the limiting factor that most immigrants get caught up in. The good one is I will never work in my lifetime as hard as my dad worked. My dad escaped from jail, grabbed my mom and I, came here when he was 37 years old, didn't speak the language, had one suitcase. We came here in a boat, my friend. Like that guy swept floors in a factory, took the bus to work. So you will never hear me complain about hard. Hard does not exist in my vocabulary. That's the immigrant mindset. That's the good part of it. Here's the bad part of it. Nobody worked harder than my dad. My dad never became rich. So what I learned from my dad is if you don't work hard, you'll never get rich. But just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to become wealthy. You got to work hard. That's a given, but you got to work smart.
And so how do you find, clearly you found different vehicles. What did your dad do for a living?
He was a millwright. He was a janitor in a factory, and then he worked his way up. Right.
Yeah. So it's hard to be rich as a janitor, right? So, how does somebody know if they're even in the right vehicle? Like if your dad was here today, and we said, hey, you just can't, there's no place to go. Just slide over to this space right here. You could actually create for the same amount of work. How do you find the right vehicle, Robert? You found it in your life and you've seen other people come to you and try to find it. How do you do it?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to be honest with yourself. There are certain vehicles that are just limiting. Like I'm never going to run a big bank, Grant. I didn't get a fancy degree. I didn't go to school. When I started out in business, there were two things all my business supposedly friends told me. They said the key to getting rich in life is not what you know, it's who you know. And in order to make money, you got to have money. Well, my dad was a janitor and my mom was a receptionist, and I didn't know anybody. So I was screwed from the start, and we had no money. So I think the key is you got to find an avenue where capital is not the limiting factor and who you know is not the limiting factor. Knowledge and hard work are the limiting factors. It's one of the reasons I got into tech. In tech, nobody cares who you are. Nobody cares where you came from. If you have a great idea, you can start from nothing. It's another reason why I love real estate. Like the best investments I've ever made personally have been in real estate, leveraging equity, letting it grow.
Oh, that's good. We're going to talk about some real estate. I'm glad that you're a pro real estate guy. Your buddy, Damon John, he's never had a good real estate experience. I'm like, well, then something's wrong with you, Damon. Like,
so on the opposite, Grant, I've never had a bad real estate experience. Like I love real estate because if you think about it, what else can you buy in life with a little bit of capital and leverage a larger dollar amount? But the equity that grows is not just on the amount you put in, it's on the overall thing. Like I figured that out real fast.
Yeah. And to me, that is like, people don't get like, I can buy $400 million worth of real estate for a quarter of the price using debt. To me, it's one of the great known mysteries of the universe. So,
right.
So look, you're, if I had a show on, what have you been on Shark Tank? 13 years now? 14?
78 years. 78 years. No, I'll joke. 14 years. But before I was on Shark Tank, Kevin, the mean bald guy, and I did the show for 5 years in Canada. So it's been about 20 years.
Wow, dude. Like how important has being known, not who you know, but I knew you probably before you knew me, right? So we knew. I said, man, I got to get Robert on this. How important is it for a person to get known, to become known, to have attention?
It's a great question. So here's another limiting factor. You asked earlier about the immigrant mindset. So as immigrants, you know what you're taught? Don't tell the world about yourself. My parents were always like, if you're good at what you do, the world will beat a path to your door. I was the shyest, humblest, couldn't talk in front of people kind of kid in my 20s. And what I realized is there is no genius in the darkness of a basement.
Wow.
The world is not going to beat a path to your door, Grant. You got to tell the world who you are, man. Like if you don't have enough confidence to tell other people why they should invest in you, then you're not going to get anywhere. And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about standing on the rooftops telling people how great you are. It's about what value can you add. But if you can't communicate in life, you're very, very limited.
So we're talking about marketing now. And you talk about, some of the stuff I do on Instagram is, on the plane and showing the plane and the cars and the stuff off. And people need to understand, like, that doesn't mean that's who I am. Right. I mean, when you see me doing that, you know what I'm doing, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. How important is marketing to growing a business, growing a brand? Well,
so two things in life people don't understand. How to leverage a small amount of money to make a lot of money in real estate. It's all about leverage. Scale, people misunderstand scale. They think scale is about hiring more people, using more cash. Scale is about leveraging limited resources. That's why I love real estate, right? When I have no money, I put down a little bit, bought a big home. It's the same with marketing. Marketing is leveraging you on a larger scale. Like you cannot talk to every person you want to sell to or every investment you want to make. But if you have a brand out there, you're just amplifying who you are. Eventually in life, you got to get to a point where business is coming in. You always talk about getting paid and having that recurring revenue. Well, that's what marketing is. If you have a brand, you have recurring incoming leads.
And how would you justify or make sense of marketing today with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera? Would you look at it different than 20 or 30 years ago where the metric was, do I get a customer? Does it convert?
Right.
How would you How would you tell a small business owner today to use those social platforms?
Well, I think the first thing is the difference today than the past is engagement. You know, the past used to be sell, sell, sell.
Right.
People don't want to be sold. You know what people want to do? They want to be informed and they want to be entertained. I mean, people know when they see you on Instagram, see me on Instagram, I'm selling something. I'm selling myself. I'm selling the show. I'm selling something. But the more obvious it is, the less effective it is. You know, there's a great saying in the Bible, teach ye with parables. And that's what Instagram is. It's telling a story. Tell the story of you and engage people. That's how you get big.
Yeah. And so if a guy, do you think a guy or gal, it's even possible to have financial success without really committing to the marketing game?
No. I look, there's always somebody out there who's going to win a lottery ticket and do a one of. And that's another thing people don't understand, Grant. They look for the anomalies, right? Success in life is the swim lane. And it's this. And you know, and I know, and most people know that if you do these things, you're going to be successful. And then when people have a hard day, they always say, well, my buddy did this and it worked for him. Or my buddy did this. And there's always going to be an anomaly. Don't plan for the unknown or the unseen. Plan for what life tells you. And without marketing, you just can't get there.
Yeah. And Robert, which would you say is senior to the other, marketing or sales? Which would you can only throw on one of them. You can only do one of them. Which one would you pick?
Marketing.
Yeah, 1000%. I made that mistake for the first 25 years of my career.
It's funny you say that, Grant. So I had a small tech company and I thought I was the biggest guy in the world. And a friend of mine was the head of Hewlett-Packard. Remember them? Huge company, HP, internationally. Comes to my office. We're staying there. And he says to me, Robert, let me tell you why you're never going to be wealthy. And I'm like, what? I'm never going to be wealthy. What are you talking about? And he says, you're the best sales guy ever. You're the best sales guy in the room. He goes, I've never met a sales guy better than you in the room. But Robert, how many rooms can you get into? You only have so many days. Marketing gets you into every room at once. And, you know, he walked out of the room, Grant, and I was in my mid-20s, and I was like, screw him. He doesn't know anything. Right. And then I thought about it. And I think that's another key to success that I've learned from my parents is leave your ego at the door. I'm highly confident, but if you have a better way to do it, man, I'm going to adopt your way, and I'm going to do it right away.
Yeah, so you were a good sales guy, huh?
I was a great sales guy. Yeah. Still left.
And so that's what happened to me. Like I got trapped in learning this skill. I was not naturally good at sales. I committed to it, learned how to do it, got really good at it, and became that asset became a liability. And
well said.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to go sell it myself. I'm the best salesman in the world, you know, but completely missed the marketing piece, like completely. Like just didn't get it. Probably didn't want to spend the money to do it. I was terrified of money. So anytime I sold something, it was so hard to acquire a customer that when I acquired one and got the commission from it, I just like, I had to hold on to that thing. Didn't want to market. How do you balance? I go out and sell something for the startup, get a little dough, and then okay, I'm going to use all that money to go margin or leverage into marketing. How do you
amplification? It's all about amplification for us. So, you know, we're in the tech business. We've done a lot of work in real estate. And what we learned, you know, the hard thing is at the beginning, you got to sell. Like you don't have to market. Like when you got nothing, that's another mistake people make is they're like, oh, okay, got it. I heard Robert, I heard Grant, I'm going to start a business. I'm just going to do marketing. At the beginning, you got to do the grind. You got to do the hard work. You got to bring those deals in, right? But the difference between great salespeople and great entrepreneurs and people with great wealth is they learn where that pivot point is. And that pivot point is different for everybody, right? You didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. So it took me longer to get to that pivot point. But like I just bought a company and we're now 1,000 employees. A year ago, we were 200. We were 200. So 2 years ago, every big deal above so many millions, I went to see. Guess what? I can't do that anymore. And so it's about empowering the people that work for me in order to do that. And it's the same for people listening to this is if you can't get to a point where your team is more powerful than you, you're always going to be limited. You can only go so far by yourself, but you can go all the way with a great team.
So how do you go about, congratulations on the company, by the way, and the growth. What is the company?
It's a company called Sideris. It used to be called Herjavec Group, but we changed the name because I realized if it was named after me, I'm never going to retire. And my wife was like, okay, how long are you going to keep doing this? And I said forever, which was the wrong answer to say to my wife.
Yeah. So how do you then find the right people? I hear this is the number one complaint. I can never find good people. There aren't any good people. You and I are on this conference call today, and I'd like to think that we're good people. So there's at least two of them. Where do you find great people, man, to turn over, trust your business with, your people and your ideas?
Give me somebody hungry who wants an opportunity, and I'll hire them all day long over somebody with the right education and the right experience. I never hire for experience. I hire for attitude. Attitude may take longer than experience, but in the end, I know it's going to be done the right way. So we've never had a problem hiring. The mistake that I used to make, I used to have this saying, oh, I'll never hire somebody that I don't want to sit on an international flight with for, 5 hours. And when I realized this, that's BS.
Right.
A team, a great team is not about a bunch of people that like each other, go out for beers, go out for dinner, hang out. A team is a group of people that pull in the same direction and respect each other. Years ago, because I love to work out, I'm pretty fit, I got invited to go to the Army Rangers to their training boot camp, which is super hard, kicked my ass. It was incredible. Afterwards, I said to the guy who ran the training program, I said, you guys must be the best friends in the world. Like when you're not out there taking down countries and doing these drills, you must hang out all the time. The guy was like, no, you're completely thinking about teams the wrong way. These are people I trust to have my back. They need to be great at what we need them to do. It's not about friendship. It's about teamwork.
So that brings me to execution and like where most people drop the ball is they get these ideas, they go to a workshop, they learn this stuff. How do you make sure your team and how do you hold yourself accountable, Robert? I mean, you've done it. You're the American dream. You got the American flag in your background, man. Do you love America?
Love America. I got to tell you, man, there is no greater country in the world. The thing that pisses me off the most is when people complain to me. They say, oh, it's so hard. I can't get ahead. And I'm like, yeah, it's friggin' hard. And it should be hard. If it was easy, then it wouldn't be worth it. But what other country in the world can you come here with nothing and in a single generation create this kind of life-altering work? No other place in the world. So I love this country. It's
So how do you take this great opportunity? And there's other great countries on the planet, other countries that have opportunity almost equal to what America has. How does somebody have an idea, start a business, they start marketing, have some sales going, and then they like, hey, I'm going to execute on this. I'm going to make sure the ideas I have, the desire I have in my heart is going to become a reality. Do you have a 1, 2, 3 on that?
Yeah. So you're right. There are other countries. I'm from Canada. It's a great country. Australia is a great country. So you can do it in other places. I just think here we have the infrastructure that makes 100%. It, and you know what it is? There's more like-minded people here. There's more people like you, like me here. So My general view on execution is people overthink it. I guarantee you, everybody listening to this workshop is going to leave this afternoon and say, man, boom, I'm going to do it. Tomorrow morning, 50% of the people are going to wake up and do something about it. 3 days from now, probably 10% of people are going to do it. You know what the difference is? Discipline. Great discipline creates habits. Habits create success. Success is not something you wake up one day and it magically happens. It's all those little things you do every day. So like for me, I like to run every day. I have a rule of thumb. I never go more than 3 days without running.
How old are you, Rob?
I'll be 60 this year.
Oh man, you look awesome, bro.
Thank you.
So the knees don't bother you running?
Oh yeah, everything bothers me. I hate running. I friggin' hate running, Grant. Okay. I run 4 miles every day. I hate it.
Oh wow.
But I will tell you this. In every run, there's a point that I say to myself, why am I doing this? This is really hard. This is painful. And in every time, I then ask myself this question. Are you a quitter? Are you going to lose? Are you going to let life beat you down? And as soon as I say that mentally, I'll run forever. If you're hard on yourself, life will be easy on you. Execution is easy if you have the self-discipline.
So you and I have a lot in common, man. We got to do more stuff together. So I like being around people that support what I think about. I am so hard on myself. Like,
oh my gosh, me too.
Like, I'm disappointed, discouraged. I look at other people. I don't get envious of other people. I get pissed off at myself when I see somebody else doing great things. And I'm like, why am I not contributing at that level? Why am I not how do you do that, Robert, without destroying yourself, without beating yourself up so much that you're less than, and you can't grow from the hardness?
Your success does not make me less. Your success inspires me. And I think it comes, Grant, from a state of, like, I'm like you. There's a great quote for Giorgio Armani, the big designer I read years ago. And he said, I live in a constant state of frustration because I see the world for what I could make it, not for what it is. And I'm like that, man. Like, I wake up every day and I'm like, why don't I have a bigger plane? Why am I not adding more value? Why is my company not bigger? But that doesn't define my happiness. I'm a happy guy. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I wake up every day and I think life is a miracle. And I think you either treat life as a gift or you just become miserable. So I think, and I learned that a long time ago when I had nothing to sell. The only thing I had to sell was myself. And I didn't know anything. I had no knowledge except I had joy. So I always felt if I could walk into a room and make other people smile, I'm already farther ahead. Because how many other people in life are happy, are joyful, are grateful? And how many other people are miserable? Who wants to do business with someone who's miserable? Nobody.
So Robert, like, talk to me about the happy thing, dude. Like, are you able to be happy when you're not winning? Because there's been times in your career where I'm sure you were just on you couldn't get anything to work. How do you
I'm
happy when you're
happy all the time, man.
Huh?
I'm happy all the time. I mean, I'm happy all the time. I mean, I'm not thrilled about that figured. I
haven't figured that out yet.
I just think even in the grind, even in the losses, God has given me this opportunity. And I mean, Barbara on our show, her and I had this talk one day about being happy. And she really level set me. She said, the difference between successful people and those that aren't, it's not that successful people don't have bad and crappy days. It's how long they allow themselves to wallow in misery.
Wow.
Grant, I'm not a wallower.
Right. I'm not either. Yeah.
If I lose a deal, don't get me wrong, I'm really unhappy for a moment. But you know what? Real quick, level set. How am I going to do it next time? How am I going to win the next time? Success is not a finality. Success is a continuum. and you got to keep going.
If you were starting over today, you're 22 years old, and you were going to go out and start a business. Let's say you just got out of college. You're going to start a business, Robert, or you're going to go buy a business? No money. You don't have any money. You got I don't know, 700 credit score. You don't have really anything going for you. You don't know anybody. Would you buy a business or start from scratch?
I would start a business, but I would buy a business sooner, because it goes back to that leverage point you and I talked about. The mistake I made in life is I thought my shoulders were big enough to carry the world on them for too long, and it became a limiting factor. I was so good at what I did that I was always the best guy in the room. Whereas people who weren't as good as me were leveraging all the rooms. So I would definitely start a business, but I would try to pivot that into buying other businesses sooner.
Let's say that you knew how to buy a business with no money in a space that you wanted to be in. You could buy a business with no money and no credit. Would you buy it or start it from scratch?
Oh, I would definitely buy it.
Why
I would definitely
buy
buy it. The caveat being, if I knew what I was doing. Most businesses fail because the guy running it or the woman running it don't know how to run it. When you start out, you got to know everything about that business. Meaning, if you're buying a restaurant and you don't know how to cook, you're going to get in trouble. If you're buying a tech business and you don't know how to code, you're screwed. If you're buying a real estate business and you don't understand location and appreciation and debt, you're going to fail. So everything's individual, right? Like, you should buy a business at the point you have enough knowledge in order to run it.
Should you follow your passion, Robert? Or this is going to be an interesting answer from you. Or should you follow what you know?
Well, at 22, what do you know, Grant? You don't know anything. You don't know anything. That's a great question. Passion finds you. Like, did I wake up at 17 and say, oh my God, I'm going into cybersecurity?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm waking up every day and I want to do cybersecurity. I never opened a computer till I was 22. Yeah. I needed a job. I needed to pay my rent. I got a job in a computer company. And guess what I learned? Computers are really complex, fast moving. It fits my personality. I race cars, I run. Like, I like things that go quickly. Tech goes quickly. The passion for technology found me. It fit who I am. So I don't believe in all that passion stuff. I think you got to know yourself.
Yeah. And I agree. I think a lot of people are searching. I hear all these rich guys say, if you don't love it, don't do it. I'm like, that's easy for you to say, bro. You got $6 billion in the bank. Like, right. On the way up, you got to do stuff you don't love. And then I believe the passion will find you because you'll start being successful and you'll start winning.
Who doesn't love success?
The people that don't get it don't love it because they never tasted enough.
Right.
It's like Baskin-Robbins ice cream. Who doesn't love ice cream, right? How important, Robert, is it having particularly family and friends, close family and friends on the same page with what you're thinking and where you want to go?
It's everything. I think if you don't have that support system, it's going to be really hard. I mean, I think you're a strong guy. I'm a strong guy, but I got to tell you, no matter how strong you are, you're going to hit those days where the sun don't shine and your dog bit you and people hate you and you've lost another deal. And in those days, that's when success is measured. When the sun is shining and the world is great and you're winning deals, it's easy to be independent on your own. But on those dark days, everybody needs a little light. And that's what your family is. That everybody needs somebody to believe in them. When I had nothing, I had my mother who always said to me, no matter how bad a day it was, no matter how many kids made fun of me because I didn't speak the language and I was, some poor immigrant, I came home and she said, I love you and I will always be there for you. And sometimes that's all you need, man. You just need that little bit of love and sunshine in your life.
And then what was your first language, Robert?
Croatian.
Okay. So can you say success is my duty in Croatian?
I don't know how to say the word success.
Well,
And I don't know how to
crazy.
say the word duty. It's been a long time.
Okay, think
But
about it. I'll let you work on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you work on it. Now, how beautiful is Croatia? I haven't been there, but I heard it's just spectacular.
It's the most beautiful country in the world, especially if you're on a big boat along the coast. It's
Yeah.
stunning. Like it's stunning.
Good. Maybe the four of us go over there. How do you get the wife on the same page with you, or keep her on the same page, or how does she keep you on the same page?
Well, my wife is incredible because she understands. I mean, my wife was the world ballroom champion. She was one of the top athletes in the world in that genre. And so she gets the sacrifice you need to make in order to perform at that level. So I think that's the first thing is it's really hard to speak to somebody who doesn't speak your language. So if success is a language, my wife speaks success. Now, the other thing about, what we're talking about is this is one of the greatest things about starting your own business and working for yourself, because you can find the time in the moments that matter, right? Like I've never missed a kid's game, or I've never missed those highlight moments because I can schedule my life around it. So I think it's a give and take.
So when you guys you're 60, 61, 60 years old. So you're like, hey, maybe you want to do more. You want to go to another level. Obviously, you just bought a company. You guys got 1,000 people there. Let's say you get to a place where she's like, look, I don't want to do this anymore. How do you guys navigate that conversation?
Well, so first of all, I'm not 60 yet. I'll be 60 in September. So stop aging me, man.
Okay. Well, actually, with the 9 months that you were in the womb, you're probably 60 already.
It's true. All right. So here's the thing. It goes back to what you said earlier. To get bigger from this level, it's not always about more time. It's about building the right team. It's about leveraging. I can't get to billions by myself.
Right.
I need a better team. So it's about working smarter. So her and I are definitely on the same page, but I make sure I'm there for the moments that matter always.
So the conversation you would have with her is, look, we're going to go to this next level, and it doesn't mean I'm going to be working more.
Yeah, that's the conversation we have. And plus, I think life is a give and take. So I try to find the things that she likes to do. She's Australian. So, when we did the last equity deal, one of the things I did is I bought a home for her in Australia. And, it's funny, the more stuff I get greater joy in making the people I love happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. A new plane or a new car is super cool.
Right.
But buying a house for my wife in Australia, because she grew up with nothing. Yeah. And her dream was always to have a house in this part of Sydney. Buying that for her and coming home one day and saying, look what I did for us and for you. I mean, there is no greater joy.
Where did you buy in Sydney?
In a place called Rose Bay. We have a view of the Harbor Bridge. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love Sydney so much. I love the vegetables, best vegetables in the world. I don't know what they do to their food there, but it's fantastic. How important is health and physical well-being to you? Taking care of yourself. I know you run every day 4 miles. Are you researching, looking at anything to do to keep yourself young, to age reversal, make sure the body, the joints, everything's working?
Energy. The key to life is energy, and you can't get energy unless you work out. And people always think, oh, you must work out because you like to look good, which I do, and it's true. But it's more that mental break, right? Like it's more about doing the same thing every day, the challenge, and staying fit. You can be 60 years old and be full of energy, or you can be 60 years old going on 80. It all comes down to your energy level.
And you mentioned, I appreciate that, Robert, because you are a great example of somebody taking care of themselves. And I'm sure TV helps. When you're going to be on TV, does that help you get fit? Because you got to look at yourself.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm like you. Somebody sets a standard, I want to live up to it. So all the sharks, like Damon will tell you this, we all think we're we're all pretty self-confident, but when filming comes around, we're all like, oh man, I gotta step it up. I gotta look better than Mark. I gotta look better than Kevin. So we all try to outdo each other, I'm sure.
So you mentioned real estate earlier. Okay. Like when you think about real estate, explain to me again how you think about it. Cause I think the audience might've missed the leverage piece. And what kind of real estate are you talking about, Robert?
Well, I love real estate that I personally use. And so I have a lot of homes. So I've kind of figured out that even when I have no money, I mean, obviously location is everything, right? And so we have a lot of homes in great areas. And how
many homes do you have, man?
11.
11 homes.
Yeah. I
don't need to buy any. Tell me the location. Sydney.
I have a home in Sydney. I have 2 homes in Montana. I'm building a 3rd home there. I bought a home in the depths of the COVID fiasco in New York. You know, when everybody was saying, oh, New York's dead, New York's dead, I'm like, one of the greatest cities in the world. It's never going away. So I bought a big condo there on the 86th floor of this building, amazing views. We have a lot of homes all over. But for me, it was, even when we had nothing, it was the ability to leverage something. Like friends of mine had $100,000, and so they would buy a $200,000 home, right? It's the old immigrant. I'm going to pay it off one day. I'm just going to grind it out. I was like, hang on, if I have 100,000 and have a good credit score, could I buy $1 million home? Because guess what? The $200,000 home is going to appreciate by 20%. So 20% of 200,000 is 40 grand. The $1 million home is also going to appreciate 20%, but that's 200 grand. It's a return. What I'm trying to get into now is what you do a lot of, which is multi-family, multi-tenant, because you can't beat that cash flow. So now that we have a little bit of money, that's what we really want to do now.
Yeah, good. Well, I can show you that game. I got that baby on lockdown. So
I would love to learn that.
By the way, you and I could do something massive there. Like I don't know if you know what I've done, but I'll make sure Jared gets you my number, and because that space is not going away. America is going to become a renter nation. It's happening right now. Where do you think interest rates go, Robert, from here?
I don't know, Grant, if it really makes a difference. Like if you think about it, 5-6%, I just think that the appreciation on real estate is going to be greater and rents are going up. So if I'm buying places, my rent is going to go up much greater than 5 or 6%. So I don't worry about it, but maybe because I'm old and I remember 19% interest rates, we're never going to go back up to that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to spike a little while. I just don't think they're going to be able to hang out there very high. I think they're going to pull back down because it's just going to, people depend on credit differently than they did 30 years ago. For sure. Last question, Robert. Well, a couple questions. How important is success to a person, do you think? How much priority should they give that concept?
Everything, man. Like if you think about it, everything you have in life is fickle, it's flowing, it's fluid. But success, no one's ever going to take that away from you, man. If I lose everything tomorrow, I know I can do it. You know why? Because I've done it before. Success is the foundation for everything that gives you the confidence in life when really bad things happen. And I just think it makes you who you are. And by the way, everybody on this call has been given an incredible opportunity. Why would you waste it? Like, go out there, make something of yourself, do great things for you, for the ones that you love, and be grateful.
And lastly, and this has been amazing, man, but again, we got to do more stuff together. What does the concept 10X mean to you?
It's leverage, it's multiplication. I call it amplification. We use that word in our team all the time. Amplify the team, amplify the amount of money you have for something greater, amplify the marketing, amplify your reach, and get yourself into every room so you can take a shot.
Robert, thank you so much. You've been awesome, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm a successful person that we all know and admire and watch on TV and in life. I look forward to getting to know you better.
Me too. I hope we do some more stuff.
Yeah, chase money, move skyscrapers, urban jungle. Creates blueprint lessons that humble. Cash flow streams, never fumble. Free sessions below, build that bundle. Real estate empire, sure bet. Road from the street.